Mark Taylor-Canfield. Hey, Mark.
Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. I did want to let you know that I do have a Twitter account, actually. It's under Taylor-Canfield, and it's actually a great place to get information about breaking news stories, because with one of these networks I work with, we have citizen journalists all over the world who tweet things 30 seconds after they happen.
No, the caller knew you did. They were talking about why doesn't Sanchez, because he could probably really use one and use it very effectively.
Yes, I would love to follow Sanchez on Twitter. That would be great.
So would
Sometimes he's right in the middle of a protest or something, and a lot of times it's the only way to bypass the corporate media is to get the information from the citizen journalists on the ground.
That's right.
At the spot before it gets censored by their corporate editors,
Somebody right in the middle of it. Speaking of which, what's going on with your Mayday violence charges?
Well, there's two things going on in Seattle. There's the big political backlash to the Mayday demonstrations, and then there's also Shell Oil illegally bringing in oil drilling rigs into the bay.
Yeah, how did that action go this past weekend? Doug, one of our listeners and emailers, pointed out to me there was going to be demonstration last Saturday and then again on Monday. How did it work out?
Oh, on Saturday there were thousands of people down at the waterfront. About 500 kayakers surrounded the Polar Pioneer, which is Shell's exploratory oil drilling rig that they want to use up in the Arctic.
Right.
And it got major international media attention. So I can only say one of the things I tweeted was Shell obviously doesn't care whether they're a popular corporation or not. They're only concerned about the money. And I can quote our own mayor as saying the same thing, because when he was criticized for trying to block the rigs from coming into Seattle. In fact, right now there's a notice of violation from the city of Seattle to the Port of Seattle and to Fox Maritime, telling them to get the rigs out of Seattle now that they are in violation of the law, because Mayor Murray said, no, they need to file for a new permit to bring these rigs in, and Shell just didn't care.
Right.
So one of the reactions to Mayor Murray's statement was from business people in the community who said, well, the mayor is anti-business. Mayor Murray put a notice on his website, which is still there, which says, hey, I'm not anti-business. I'm all for businesses that are responsible and accountable for the environmental destruction that their product causes, but I don't believe that Shell is one of those good partners for the community. And they have shown, obviously, they're not. They're all about the money, Mike. They don't care about the environment up in the Arctic, where it's already under a lot of stress and where the Arctic Ocean Sea is recirculated. It doesn't, if there's another Valdez oil spill up there, it's going to be horrible.
Oh, God.
I interviewed a biologist on Monday. Yesterday, there was an attempt to block the port, and that lasted for about 6 or 7 hours. 700 people marched down to the port. About 300 or 400 of them blocked the main gate to the port for many, many hours. And this is going to be an ongoing story. They're bringing another oil drilling platform into Seattle, and they're using Seattle as a staging area. They're not actually drilling here.
Well, they're also going to use it as an area I've heard to clean the holds of some of this equipment, which means they're going to be blowing against the rules of Puget Sound. They're going to be blowing oil and all sorts of dreck into Puget Sound.
Yeah, all I can say is that the city of Seattle, the city officials are against it. The Port of Seattle, obviously, which is a separate entity, they are making a lot of money off of this contract with Shell, so they've been supportive of it. But it's a huge political crisis in Seattle because you have the city saying no, an oil company thumbing their nose at them, and the port sort of standing by saying, oh, yeah, there's nothing we can do. So it just looks really bad. But I wanted to let you know that Truthout.org just published my complaint to the Seattle City Council about what happened on May Day, and also our head of the Public Safety Committee for the Seattle City Council, Bruce Harrell, came out a few days later and totally castigated the Seattle police for what he called a, quote, idiotic arrest of one of the marchers, which he claims, Harold, the head of the Public Safety Committee, is claiming that this violent arrest, which you can see on YouTube actually, it's gone viral, that it actually incited the crowd and incited the protesters to react by damaging property. So he was saying if they hadn't done that, they wouldn't have had to use the flashbang grenades, which injured me and which also burned a Seattle Times reporter. They also fired rubber bullets at 2 National Lawyers Guild legal observers who showed their wounds at the city council meeting. And so there's been a huge backlash. And part of the problem there is that directly after the event, Mayor Ed Murray and the corporate media here spun the story as if the Seattle Police Department did a wonderful job. They protected the city. Aren't we proud of them? Well, we have to remember that the Seattle Police Department is still under review by the Department of Justice for excessive use of force. So this is not looking good right now. And days after the event, all of this information started to come out. So don't believe the immediate media and political spin of any event, folks, because
well, we were exceedingly busy this past weekend with end of the year stuff for Malloy, but I heard nothing about the demonstrations, the kayakers, and the thousands of people in Seattle. Hey, listen, Mark, I have to leave it there. We are flat out of time.